Guys, honestly, getting to 10K per month with your agency or even a consulting coaching business is actually easier than you think. Now, I know that kind of sounds rich coming from somebody like me. Well, technically it shouldn't, because obviously I struggled for quite a while. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I'm actually going to break down exactly how we're going to be doing this. First of all, let me pull out the Ankh real quick. Gonna be showing down camera real quick, so where the power comes from. If you guys do, shout out to the ancestors real quick, guys. So I want to break down right how you can actually go about getting to 10K per month and why it's actually easier than you actually genuinely think. No, just give me a second, don't click away. I'm actually gonna break this down very simply. Make sure that you actually understand this as well and show you where you guys are going wrong. So take this video, please watch it multiple times over. Please do what I say in this video, because honestly, it's genuinely easier than you think. Like honestly, if I was literally left with a laptop, right, in the desert with food, water, and Wi-Fi, and maybe a phone, I don't really need a mobile phone to be honest with you, I would still be able to make 10K per month, every single net profit, by the way. That's net profit, even after taxes, by the way. So it's actually easier than you actually think. Let me actually just break this down real quick. Oh, by the way, before I jump into this, don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe. And for those who are actually interested in enrolling into age limitation, I know that there's some of you out there that might be thinking about it. Some of you watch these videos for the free value but actually want to jump in. Some of you never will jump in. That's completely fine. But for those who do want to jump in, age limitation is going from $597 US to $797 US. So it's going up by $200. So if you do want to enroll, shameless plug, it will be going up on the 28th of June. This is not a scarcity tactic. It's literally because more modules are coming out and it's becoming more and more valuable. The results are being crazy. Go to my Instagram, check it out. Anyway, enough plugging. So realistically, right, with an agency or even a consulting business, there's only realistically a few areas you actually need to master. I've kind of broken it down into this particular video in 4 areas, right? If you see me looking over here, it's just because I got a couple of notes so I don't go off track. So there's 4 main areas you kind of want to master when you actually come into any sort of service-based business, whether that's an agency, consulting. First of all, right, is you need to find a pain problem that a niche already kind of like has and really needs help with. For example, e-commerce brands right now, right, always will need help generating traffic that's actually going to convert into sales. So you can actually help them with that particular thing. However, there's many things that you can actually do in order to help them with that. For example, like conversion rate optimization. So making sure that their store actually is better at converting traffic into customers. Or you can help them generate the traffic on the front end itself by helping them run Facebook ads or run TikTok ads, that sort of stuff. Or you can actually help them in the back end where it's kind of like bringing repeat customers, if you will, via email marketing or SEO and stuff like that. Well, SEO would probably be more like front end and whatnot. Google ads would be more front end as well. So I'll give you an example. So finding a pain problem, right? The reason why you want to find a pain problem just real quick first is because that is going to be the premise of your business. That's the thing you're going to be helping them with. That basically leads on to everything else. If you haven't got that, forget it. You need to make sure that you're giving Susie what Susie wants for lunch, as I like to say to all of my students and whatnot. But long story short, you need to find a pain problem that a niche really needs help with. Something they drastically need help with, right? Because that's going to be your solution and it's going to be in your marketing messaging, as in like when you reach out to brands, that's the thing that's going to separate you. That's going to be what your entire business is built around, if you will. So I'll give you one real quick. I know for a fact that e-com brands right now are going to need help generating more traffic that basically converts into customers without spending ridiculous amounts on ads that basically work because of the whole iOS 14 stuff and whatnot. So what we can do is we can obviously start offering stuff like TikTok ads, Google ads, that sort of stuff. So there's a service, there's a pain problem right there that you can actually offer. Now, this is the thing where kind of like where a lot of people kind of like mess up. They think that they have to do all the service delivery themselves. So when they sit down to think like, oh, what are the pain problems a business has? They, instead of just trying to answer the question as what problem does this business have? They have a problem with generating traffic. Well, how can I generate traffic? There's multiple different ways. What's the best way of generating traffic? Well, right now, TikTok's blowing up. And this is the point where they mess up. They go, well, I don't know TikTok ads, therefore I can't offer that. Then that's it, they're done. The brain shuts down. Instead of saying, I can't do something, ask yourself, how can I do something? That way your brain starts opening up and tries to find solutions, as all the gurus, big gurus say and stuff like that. Don't say you can't, ask yourself how you can, if you will. So the next stage is, how can you actually start, leveraging TikTok ads? How can you learn TikTok ads? Then what I recommend you do is literally just start typing in TikTok ads for e-commerce brands and watch the first page of YouTube. And I'm telling you, if you watch the first page of like YouTube, you will actually know like 90% of the stuff that you actually need to know. The other 10% is actually just doing it on the job. So you're never realistically going to feel like you're ready, even if you watch 100 videos. So I just recommend watching 15 videos, stick to 15 videos, 15 top videos on YouTube. Honestly, you will literally know that. That shouldn't take you more than maybe 2-3 days. Honestly, do not spend more than 2 to 3 days on this, because this is just literally just market research, if you will. Then the second thing is obviously you want to make sure that you master your service delivery by hiring somebody. Now, what I recommend by this, by the way, and what I mean by this just real quick is learn TikTok ads yourself and the lingo, the kind of like vernacular that goes with that, and then actually go and hire somebody that actually is an actual expert in that and has case studies. You can find these people in Facebook groups, you can find them on Upwork. This is not easy, by the way. Don't think this is easy. Don't just think because I've said go and find somebody to, meet a TikTok media buyer. Don't think it's easy. It is actually difficult. You actually have to, vet a lot of people. And one of the skills you're going to need to pick up is learning how to hire people, and not only hire people, but be able to sell your vision. Being able to sell your agency and why somebody who already knows kind of like TikTok ads, why they should actually come and work with your agency and not work with some other agency or start an agency themselves, basically. So you want to be able to sell your vision. Then what you want to do is, if once you've actually found somebody that's genuinely good, you want to vet them and make sure that they have decent case studies so you can actually use those to leverage clients, right? Leverage so they can actually land clients. So case studies help you land clients if you want. The third thing is, now that you've got a service, you've got a team member in place, so you've got your kind of like back end down, so you've got a pain problem that's actually really painful. Now that you've got a person that can actually help people with this pain problem, you're technically in business. You don't need a fancy website or all that crazy stuff. What you need to do now, the next thing is, straight away, is to figure out what platform your actual niche is most receptive on. What do they respond to? Do they respond to emails? Do they respond to LinkedIn messages? Do they respond to Instagram? Do they respond to Facebook? You won't know this answer, which is why you need to do more market research. So the first market research was, what problem do they have? Second thing was, how do I actually solve this by actually going and finding a media buyer? The third thing was, what platform is my particular niche actually responsive to? So here's how you go about testing this. Please do not let this go over your head, because this is actually what you need to do. Literally, a lot of people ask me, what's the best outreach method, Montell? What's this? What's the best service? What's the best outreach method? I cannot tell you that. The market tells you by just listening to them. You actually have to listen to your market. That's the difference, you see. So what you want to do is you want to go out there, right? This is exactly how you're going to test, right? You're going to pick 3 different platforms. For example, Instagram DMs, Facebook DMs versus emails. And then what you're going to do is you're going to craft a script, right? A decent script, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to keep the script the same for each platform, but tweak it slightly for each platform, but it's going to physically pretty much say the same thing. It's going to be the same offer, the same call to action, if you will. What you're going to do is you're going to also send the same number of messages. So now what we're going to do is start thinking like an actual scientist. We're going to take 3 different platforms, right? And we're going to test each 3 against each other. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to send the same message to 200 different businesses on Instagram. You're going to take that same message and see what the results are, by the way, on Instagram. See what your reply rate was. Then you're going to take that same exact message and you're going to maybe slightly tweak it just so it suits the platform. And you're going to send the same 200 messages to 200 different businesses this time via Facebook messages. So you're going to test Facebook messages against Instagram messages, or Instagram messages versus Facebook messages. It's the same number of messages. So you're sending 200 outreach on Instagram to 200 different businesses, but it's the same message. Then you're going to just take that same message again, the same body, the same thing that you're saying in the text basically, and you're going to send that same message to 200 different businesses. And it's completely different businesses to what you just basically said. Well, it's the same niche basically, but you're going to send it to 200 different businesses on Facebook and see which one is the best out of those 2. And then you're going to do the same thing with cold emails. So it's the same message on all 3 platforms. So basically, all in all, you're going to send 600 different messages. Well, it's technically the same message though, within the actual message, but it's to 600 different businesses. And what that basically is doing is you're keeping constant and you're changing just one variable. And the one variable that you're testing right now is obviously which platform is more receptive and which gets you the best reply rate. And that's the outreach method. That's how you actually come across what outreach method is best for you, your offer, your service, and what particular niche you're actually in. So that's how you actually figure out what platform is more receptive. Now, once you've actually, and by the way, you track all these numbers down to a T. So you send out your 200 messages on Instagram, your 200 messages on Facebook, and your 200 emails. And then what you do is you track each one in an Excel sheet. Just create a basic Excel sheet. How many messages you sent today, how many replied. That's basically what you need to do. And then work out the actual end reply rate, if you will. Then what you do is you see which one is the best platform that got you the most replies, and you stick to that and double down on that one. That's all you do. So once you found which platform is most responsive and you get the most replies, what you need to do now is get really, really, really good at scaling that up. And how you scale that up, right, is you become good at lead sourcing. So good at finding leads, good at qualifying the leads, and then good at actually like personalizing your outreach as well. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want to make sure that you can actually crank out more outreach. So you want to go from like doing 10 outreach a day to 100 outreach a day to 500 outreach a day. That's how you're going to scale this up. 4th point here is probably going to be the most important. So once you've actually done this research, this kind of like point 1 to 3 was kind of like, so point 1 was find a pain problem, 2 was make sure you've got the service delivery down pat. 3 was figure out what platform is the most responsive. 4 now is actually scaling. So now you've actually got a good message, you've got a good service delivery, and you've got a pain problem. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure that you actually, and once you found your actual platform that's most responsive, you now want to actually start cranking out a whole bunch of outreach and doing lots of split tests. The only problem is though, is to do lots of outreach, you need to do lots of lead sourcing. Now, here's what I recommend, right? Obviously try to implement something like the hybrid system, where you obviously try to take cash flow and you hire a team, because honestly, you probably won't be able to crank out more than 50 outreach a day at the absolute max. I actually had somebody tell me they did 15 outreach the other day and it took them 10 hours of time. Literally, that's not scalable. That is literally not scalable. I'm talking about you need to be doing like 200, 300, 400 outreach per day. Literally. But how do you get to that level? Well, the way how you get to that level is you actually have to have a team in place. How do you get a team? Well, you have to pay the team. Well, how do you pay the team? Well, use something like Upwork, close like 3 clients really quickly. You got, I don't know, $3,000 coming in, $2,000 coming in, $3,000 coming in, 2,500 coming in. And now you can actually take that cash flow and leverage, this particular team here. So that's what you need to do. You need to get really good at lead sourcing. So finding leads, qualifying the leads, and then cranking out outreach at scale. That's the only way you can scale this particular business, unless you're deciding to run ads. I don't really recommend that until you're like making a lot more money than this. This is how you actually go from 0 to 10K really quickly. So SMA, right, and consulting, doesn't even matter, is a numbers game whether you like it or not. I've got here on this sheet. Now, let me break this down as to, you can argue with this, but that would be like arguing with 2 + 2 = 4, or the sky's up, or grass is green. You can't argue with that. And the reason for that is because, let me just break it down like this, all right? I'm gonna ask you a question. Who do you really reckon will get to 10K per month the quickest, right? You've got 2 people, person A and person B. So person A, and by the way, they've got the same offer, the same close rate, the same script, the same niche, everything's the same. They're identical. But we've got person A and person B. Person A, right, is sending out 50 outreach per day. So 50 outreach per day. It's the same platform as well, by the way. It's the same everything. Same script, same platform, same niche, same offer, same script, same everything. So we got person A, he's sending out 50 emails or 50 outreach per day. I'm just gonna say 50 outreach per day. Then we've got person B who's doing he's doing 500 outreach per day. So person A is doing 50 outreach per day. Person B is doing 500 outreach per day to the same niche with the same script. Who do you really think is going to get to 10K per month the quickest? See what I'm trying to say? It really is a numbers game. The more shots you take in basketball in one game, the more you're going to sink, even if you're really terrible at shooting. So and this is actually funny, just to solidify my point, right? These are ridiculous numbers, obviously. Well, 500 outreach a day might sound like a lot, but if you've got the right infrastructure in place, you can easily do that. You can get 5 virtual assistants at $3 per hour or something, like $5 per hour, $6 per hour, whatever it is. Send out 100 emails per day, 100 outreach per day each. So that's 5 people, 100 outreach each. They're doing 500 outreach per day. That's how you would go about doing this. But you have to have the infrastructure in place for this. But long story short, even if it takes 5,000 outreach just to land 1 client, which is obviously really ridiculous, person A will need to spend 100 days doing outreach versus person B will only need to do 10. Think about it. If it takes you 5,000 outreach to land 1 client, which is obviously absurd, this ridiculous number right here. If you're doing 50 outreach per day, it's going to take you 100 days to do 5,000 outreach to land 1 client. Whereas person B, because he's doing 500 outreach per day, it's only going to take him 10 days to get 1 client. Therefore, if there's 30 days in a month, which on average they're kind of like 28 to 30 days, person B is actually going to be able to close 3 clients a month. Whereas person A is only going to be able to close 1 client every 100 days. There you go. It's a numbers game. The problem is that don't do this. This is the thing. Don't just grab a whole bunch of leads and then scrape them and then try to blast out cold emails using like Lemlist without personalization. It doesn't work. It really does not work. There's obviously a ramp up period to this. There's infrastructure you have to do, put in place, that sort of stuff. Which, by the way, is exactly why I created the hybrid system. This is the problem I keep seeing in the SMA space, right? Is that people know that the more outreach they do, the more clients they're going to get. The problem is they can't do all the lead sourcing, prospecting, first line writing themselves because it's just too time consuming. They can't even fathom doing 500 outreach per day because they can't physically reach that number by themselves, which is why I created a hybrid system. Hybrid system, again, just real quick, is you take cash flow from Upwork, you go to Upwork, land small ticket clients. Everybody kind of turns their nose up at small ticket clients, but you're not seeing the long game here, long-term play here. It's a game of chess, not checkers, if you will. That's the way how I see it. So Upwork, you land smaller ticket clients and you build a couple of those up until you get to like 3K per month net profit, just using Upwork. It doesn't take that long. I've actually had a student come into the program and go from 0 to 5.4K in a single month. Literally, I've had a student come into the program, for example, and actually go from 0 to closing a $2,600 deal in 3 days. Literally 3 days. Now what you can do is take that cash flow, right? And actually invest that into hiring 5 virtual assistants. And they're gonna do 100 outreach for you per day. That's the system, guys. That is the hybrid system. Upwork for cash flow. Cash flow then goes into paying for this system so you can do more outreach outside of Upwork and get higher ticket clients outside of Upwork. Doesn't even matter what niche you're in, what service you're providing. Doesn't even matter if you're doing consulting as well. Doesn't even matter if it's SMA or consulting. It works. If your business relies on setting calls and then selling on a call, this method works for you. So the point of this video is the more outreach you do realistically, the luckier you're going to get. The luckier you're going to get. So what you want to do is just do so much outreach, right? That it becomes physically impossible for you not to land clients. Honestly, think about it. If you're doing 500 outreach per day, and they're all personalized, and they're going out, and they're actually quality outreach, you're telling me you can't land at least 1 to 2 clients per month? Are you crazy? Come on guys, think about it. This is exactly why getting to 10K a month is much easier than you think. It's much simpler than you think. It's just that to put this system in place, you actually have to train a team, you have to hire the team, train the team, which is what's all taught inside of H-Trumpetation. If you want to join that, that's exactly what the point of H-Trumpetation is. That is literally what it solves. Long story short, guys, hope that you can see this, and it's actually easier than you think. Literally, I'm not even joking. I had a dude, right, message me the other day on Instagram, and he said that I've spent weeks trying to build my agency, and I've not got a single response yet, or a single client. But actually said, I've even got a single response yet, never mind the client. I asked him, okay, so how much outreach have you actually done in total? But bearing in mind, he's been working in his agency for weeks. The guy literally said, I've done 30 outreach. 30 outreach. That's not even a day's worth of work. So why did it take him weeks of doing that when literally you could have just got 2 virtual assistants sending out 100 emails each, 100 outreach each, and you would have cleared what he's done in weeks in the first day, less than his first like half a day or something like that. Literally, the first hour in fact. The virtual assistant can actually crank out what, 15 outreach per hour or something like that if you're paying them or something like that. Well, probably even more than that, depends on how personalized you're sending your messages. But honestly guys, that was insane. It doesn't work like that. You can't just send 100 emails and then land a client. You actually have to send like thousands of actual outreach to land clients. It's not a problem because you can actually, when you build a team like this, they're doing it for you. Anyway guys, hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you can see why it's actually more simpler than you actually think. It's not no magic script, it's not no magic bullet. It's literally just the sheer volume that you do is gonna make you quote unquote even luckier. So go out there, start building out your teams and whatnot, and actually start doing a whole bunch of outreach, so much outreach that it becomes impossible for you not to land clients. Anyway guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to drop a like, comment and subscribe, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.